Hey guys, this is Invest Now America. I'm your host. This is not a regular podcast meeting. This is really an information meeting I'm having with my sister, Sister Crystal, and then others who might join in. And if they don't join in, that's great. We just sort of have this recorded because many times people who have questions about an investment club, they all in the beginning all have the same questions. So I want to use this discussion that Crystal and I are going to have about starting an investment club, exploring the possibilities, the ins and outs, the ups and downs about it, things like that, and then share that with other folks who might be interested. Oh, got another person coming in. Go ahead, let her in real quick. And we're going to look for her to unmute, and then we'll just quickly introduce her. And as we're doing that, I just want people to know that Crystal, she does great work with families and youth here in the city of Louisville. And she's also a cousin to one of my chess parents. And that chess parent's name is Sister Brandy, and her son is he's almost a chess prodigy. Oh, I want to say almost. I don't want to build his ego up too much more than it is right now.
Right.
But we call him Chess Master D. That's his nickname in the chess community. So, but I only bring him up because his mother's involved. Her attitude is that where does it need to be and when does it need to be there, and she'll work it out. And that's the kind of parenting we need, folks. Period. I'll make it happen. Just tell me what I need to do, where I need to be, and I'll make it happen. And we have another person that's come in, but I think she's going to stay quiet right now, and that's fine. So, sis, I put this together because I think it's very, very important that we have more Black folk in general and single Black women in particular get involved in the stock market. That is one of the, I don't want to say easiest, but it's one of the most effective and accessible ways to build personal wealth, family wealth, and what I call generational wealth. And by generational wealth, I mean when we die, we pass that on to the next generation. And so in investing in stocks is one of the ways to do that. The great advantage of stock investment clubs or groups or whatever you want to say is that it's sort of like I often refer to people, I'll give them my finger example. I'm showing 5 fingers, 4 fingers and a thumb. By itself, this one finger, it might be able to do some damage. I might be able to poke you in the eye or poke you in the chest. But if you get a hold of it, you can snap it, right? But if I take this one finger, then bring these up, and then get this thumb involved and make a fist, oh, wait a minute. That's some power right there, all right? And so that's why I view an investment club is that we come together, and in our coming together, there's power. In our coming together, secondly, there's intellectual capital. I may know something that you may not know, and vice versa, and someone else may have some experiences and thoughts that we didn't have. So it all comes together. When we look at someone like, people talk a lot about Elon Musk. He's the head of Twitter. He's the head of Tesla, and he does these other great, amazing things. I guarantee you, if you ever look at any of his interviews, he lets you know in a heartbeat, he has a team of folks. He has a team of folks he calls upon. Warren Buffett, Charles Munger, they do Berkshire Hathaway. They have an office. At that office, they have a staff. They have a team of folks, all right, that's created one of the most successful investment groups in the world. I mean, it's one of the most successful ones in the 20th century and one of the most successful in the world, but it's all team-based. It's all together. And then also, when we pool our capital, that makes for, we sort of share the risk and we sort of share the gains. Now, you may have $50 you can put in the market. That's great. But what's better, if we have $50 or if we have $500? You put in 50 and then 9 other people put in 50. Now we're looking at 500. it changed the ball game right then and there. It just changes the ball game. So as a quick example, you say you buy $50 worth of a dividend paying stock. Your annual return on that, as far as dividend income, could be $2. But if we had 500, now and there are 10, so 10 times 2 is 20. Now that 2 is going to 20, and then that 20 is reinvested back into the group's account. So and that means it's multiplying faster. So those are the benefits of an investment club. The only downside I would see is that you just can't do what you want to do anytime. We have to make group decisions, and that's why it's always so important that you bring like-minded people together, and those like-minded people, they make the determination as to, okay, here's our investment strategy. And then they have that one person who's sort of like the CEO, and their only job is just to execute the group's decision. That's the only downside I see to it. There are literally hundreds of investment clubs throughout the United States. And really, I've learned a lot in reading a book by a sister in Nigeria. She started a good many investment clubs in Nigeria. They all operate pretty much on the same principles. And she's had her investment clubs that have some great success, and other investment clubs around the country have had great success. I don't know of that many in Louisville. I'm not saying there are none in Louisville, but I just wanted to say, I just wanted to do what I could do to start one here where we have people who are, our commonality may be, the majority would be black women, single black women. Because when it comes down to, and I'm going to wrap up with this, when it comes down to the black community, we have to face the facts that more often than not, it's the sister, it's the woman who's running the household, will run a household, take care of the children. Sometimes the guy's not there for, that maybe they don't get along with the woman. Maybe they don't care. They just up and ran off, and they're out producing other kids. Maybe they're in prison, whatever, I don't know. But the fact is we have a good many single-parent households, and when we talk about single parents, we're talking about the sisters carrying the load as far as raising the kids are concerned. So, and they are the ones who really need to be, we need to make sure that they learn a lot about building wealth. I know that, a good many people, including myself, we sort of struggle from paycheck to paycheck, but if we're ever to build personal and family wealth, we have to start investing money that's going to, for the future, I guess you might say. Yeah, I mean, that's just the only way around it. And then we all know that, hey, we're going to go to the great beyond. And it's really good, I think, that we have more of our young people, black youth, who don't have to start all over again. I don't know if that makes any sense. But, I have a very close white friend of mine, and when his parents died, it was horrific. It was horrible. I was very close to him. But one thing I noticed is that they had to sit down. They had his brothers and sisters had to sit down and talk about the legacy, the financial legacy they had left them. And it was a pretty sweet financial legacy. I mean, it was just amazing. And yet, in my experience and my sister's experience and other black folk that I've known of, when our parents died, many times it's like, shoot, man, how are we going to cover this funeral and, deal with these debts that's left behind? And there's like little to no legacy left behind. And in a sense, we just have to start all over again. It's almost as if our parents didn't work hard all those years, So that's another reason. So I just bring that up because that's another reason why I'm so into doing investment clubs and also sharing that and trying to get black women involved into doing that. So that's it, sis. I don't know if you had any questions or anything like that.
Cause I've been wanting to learn how to do investment stocks and stuff like that. So I really think this life will be a good opportunity for this group of many women that don't know how to know where to start or where to go.
Right.
And that was one of my issues. Didn't know where to start, didn't know where to
Now,
yeah, I think would be very beneficial for me.
are you presently involved in like your 401k at your work?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. I would strongly encourage that, and that's the way a lot of people are, and that's fantastic. They should do that. I just do that. Make sure you get maxed out as soon as possible. Please don't tap into that 401k because, as you know, that tax penalty. I mean, it hurts you.
Yeah.
It hurts you, and in the long run, I know of a certified financial planner, and he one time punched up. He said, "Corbin, let's pretend that you have 401k, $40,000. Something came up. You decide you want to. Well, I'm going to cash it out, and so there's that heavy tax penalty, and after the tax penalty, you might walk away with, I don't know, $32,000. So
Yeah.
So he says, oh, okay, so you're just thinking that you just lost $8,000, right? He said, no, Corbin. You also have to look at what the potential income and capital appreciation that 401k would have had several years down the road. He said, you lost that money too. And I was like, whoa. So he said, many, many times when you cash out that 401k, you've lost a lot more money than what you realize, and you probably would start saying to yourself, man, I should have done something else.
Right.
And I'll just share this real quickly. My wife, we were talking, and she was telling me she worked for a company. She was with that company no more than 6 years. I don't even think it was 6 years, really, sis. And when she left that company, she had $200,000 in her 401k. $200,000. But she cashed it out to start a business out in California. But she realized she really lost more than just $200,000. I mean, she probably would have at this time that 200,000 after about 10 years easily would have grown to $600,000-$700,000. And that's why she was sharing that with me. So stick with that 401k, please. But as far as like, I think an investment club does help a great deal with people sharing knowledge and information about opportunities, about good, safe ways to get involved. And it's very accessible. I mean, literally, we could start an investment club structured a particular way. And if you got $5, $10, boom, you're in. And you don't have to worry about commission fees or anything like that.
Right.
And then we're all sort of, just sharing that knowledge and going on. Have you ever been involved with an investment club in the past?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different ways people do it. The way I approach it is that I'm only interested in an investment club where people pool their resources, their intellectual and financial resources, to go into the stock market. Some people do it and they want to do property, buy property to rent out or flip, etc. I find that for myself too expensive, and it's not as much of an passive investment as I would like for it to be. I do too much other stuff to have to be worried about some woman calling me 3 o'clock in the morning saying her toilet's clogged up.
Right.
And even if you have a manager, a property manager, eventually he's going to go to you. He's going to say, dude, I can take care of this, but here's how much it's going to cost you. I don't want those phone calls. I don't want them. But hey, when you buy something like Kroger ain't called me about their, we're having distribution. Hey, hey, work that out, bro. I don't want to hear all that. I
Right.
just want to know when my dividend check is coming out. And they will tell you this is when we're issuing your dividend check, and you will be able to estimate pretty much how much that dividend check's going to be. That's it. You know, that's all I'm going to hear from them.
Right.
You know, AT&T, Apple, whatever it might be. So that's why, you know, I lean strongly to that. I also don't like those investment clubs where they may try to like invest in a startup business. I think people who are entrepreneurs trying to do startup business, I think that's great, that's wonderful. But for me, there's always too much risk in that.
It is.
Just too much risk in that. And you know, I just can't feel that too much. But you know, how much people will sometimes try to say, "Oh, the stock market is risky." Dude, are you serious? You ever look at Apple, Tesla, Kroger, Chevrolet, Ford? Are you seriously telling me you think those companies are going to go bankrupt anytime soon? I mean, come on. I mean, really? Think at all utility companies like LG&E. You really think they're going to go bankrupt next 3, 5, 7 years?
Oh, they just raising
Yeah.
raising the price.
Yeah. Right. Right. You're right about that. You know they'll raise the price. But at least now when they raise price, I got a few shares in LG&E. At least now when they raise the price, I'll say, well, I'll get some benefit from it because of the dividend check.
Right.
No, but again, how much risk is there really in some of these companies? Now, if you look at penny stocks, which I reject, I wouldn't do. I would do individually, but not through an investment club. That's a different matter. And I only had one time I made an investment in a company, and it did go bankrupt, but I knew it was going bankrupt. The news was all around. And I tried to pull out as much of my money from it as I could. But these other companies, they'll talk about slumps. They'll talk about problems and issues, but they're still trucking. They're still going along, You're going to have Kimberly-Clark. What does Kimberly-Clark do? They do very stupid, simple things like sell toilet paper. And I think there's always going to be like a market demand for toilet paper. At least we should pray so, right? Okay.
Right. So like to get into like the stock and like create a camp to go buy stock, like how would you go about doing that?
Well, here's what I'm going to answer that question two ways. Through the stock investment club, the way I do them when I'm managing one, I encourage people to just look at products and services that you like. So, I'll, like with my young people, I'll ask them things like, I'll give you a clear example, like with Donovan. Donovan let me know early in my relationship with him, he loves Hot Wheels. He's crazy about Hot Wheels. I'd bribe that boy all day about Hot Wheels.
Yeah, you can.
He loves his Hot Wheels. And I really related to that because when I was his age, I was into Hot Wheels too. So, then one day I just sort of asked Donovan, I said, Donovan, do you know the company that manufactures Hot Wheels? He said, no. I said, well, it's a company called Mattel. And then I pulled up something on the computer and I showed him about Mattel, the company, where it's based, the number of employees it has, its market cap, if it pays a dividend, things like that. So he got interested into looking into Mattel.
Okay.
Because first he was a consumer of
Right.
a product that company liked. He later became an investor because his mother set up a custodial account for him at stockpile.com. So that's the way I approach it. I say to people, look at what you like. Now, for me, in my small stock portfolio I have, I noticed my kids, my chess students, they love Taki chips.
Oh yeah, them hard chips.
See, you work with youth all the time. You knew immediately what I was talking about.
Yeah, my son used to eat them. Oh my goodness, I'm like the teeth gonna fall out.
Right. There you go. I mean, with someone who's a parent or who works with youth, they know exactly when I say Taki, they knew. They talk about it in a heartbeat. So you see how popular that product is, how many kids love it. I mean, across the board, black kids, white kids, brown kids, doesn't matter. Spanish speaking kids, doesn't matter. They love that stuff. So one day I just said to myself, man, I need to practice my own investment philosophy. So I started looking up who manufactures Taki. I actually contacted a guy who works at an asset management company. They handle close to $1 billion in assets. And he said, Corbin, here's the company. So I did more research on the company. You know, that company that does is based in Mexico. That company was established in 1945. And it distributes its snack food globally. Mexico, North America, places throughout Latin America. It's one of the largest bakery companies in the world. And then they had a story about how they started taking Takis into United States. They really initially only did it to appeal to the Mexican population here in the United States. Well, good is good.
Yeah.
It spread. It went beyond the Mexican-American community. It spread. And it spread to the point where it was sometime in 2000, 2010, something like that. They established a distribution and manufacturing center in Texas to meet the demand for those chips. So I bought it. I bought it because I'm like, I bought it. I got hold of their ticker symbol. I looked them up. I bought it because here's my thing, man. Them chips ain't going nowhere anytime soon. Them
and
kids,
they still selling them.
shoot, man, them kids. And I notice, like, when I walk into Kroger, they'll have just Taki chip displays. That says something to me right there. Shoot, yeah. I got some of that. I got me some of that. And actually, it's like they have, I don't want to get too much into this, but they have like two ticker symbols. One where you can, they are part of the Mexican stock market, so you can invest directly into that. And then the other one is for their people in Texas. You can invest directly into that. I got both. I'm covering both angles. And they give out a small dividend. So again, I just say all this to say, Brandy's asking for the ticker symbol. Sis, I'm going to look that up and give that to you. I promise. But yeah, man, it's that's the approach.
Okay.
There are products you like. There are products your friends and family members like. What is it you like about the product? And if you like it enough, just go do the research on the company. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to buy the company, but logically you should. Well, hey, what's this company about? One of my favorite investors is Peter Lynch. He used to be a fund manager for Fidelity. He was insanely successful. And Peter Lynch one time talked about how his daughter one time came home with bags full of stuff. And he's like, what is this? Where'd you get this? I was at the mall. He said, man, you really seem to like this stuff. What is this? She said, well, Daddy, the company's down there at the mall. So he went to the mall and looked the company up and started walking around. And he said, man, this place is popular. He talked to the manager a little bit, and the manager answered his questions. And so Lynch said on his way back home, he contacted his staff and said, you guys get on researching this company like right now. And when I come in the office Monday morning, I better have some reports. And that company's called The Gap.
Yeah.
He said he put millions of dollars into The Gap, and he made his return on it was just amazing. And it was all based upon his daughter coming home with all those products that she had bought from The Gap. And he just saying, he realized, man, this is popular. And he just initially started doing some research on it. And he has a similar story with his wife. She came home with something and she just raved about the product. He went to the store and picked it up and started talking. And I mean, and just think about it too. This guy literally, he managed billions of dollars. And yet these store managers, on the local level didn't realize who they were talking to.
Right.
And he just said, I'm going to do some research on this company. And that company they did some pantyhose they used to have in an egg.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
His legs.
Yeah. And he bought that up. And I tell you another thing too, like Peter Lynch, again, he's one of my favorites. I love him. I'll talk about him all the time. He said that he one time did a lecture and he was talking about he doesn't invest into anything he cannot quickly understand. So that's why he takes that philosophy of you're a consumer, you understand buying legs. You're a lady. Hey, this is why I like this. You're a young person. This is why I like these chips. You understand that. It's simple, right? He said he used to fly a lot, airports here and there. And he said, I understood donuts. I like donuts. I like the taste. I like the service they gave me. And he bought all sorts of Dunkin' Donut stock. Kept it. He doesn't get into high-tech stuff or fancy companies because I don't understand it. He said, But I understand eating a donut. I understand if I like the taste of the donut or not. And Warren Buffett's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know his big thing he's into? Coca-Cola. He has invested so much money into Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola people, they have a special meeting just for him.
Oh, wow.
Just for him. Of course, they do it for all shareholders, right? But they have one just for him. They just sit down and talk with him. He's put so much money into him. And he loves cherry Coca-Cola. He said, I like the product so much. He said, I decided to check out the company. And Coca-Cola has issued dividends consistently for the past 5 decades. They have funded all sorts of stuff in Atlanta and Georgia and places. And they are
have a Coca-Cola corporate office in Atlanta.
Yes. And there are museums down there too. So when I went there, when I was down in Atlanta, went to the museum, I never realized how big Coca-Cola is and how long they have been. So like investing in Coca-Cola stock, it's really almost, it's like you don't have to be no genius to do that.
Right.
So you can do it through investment clubs. Or you can do it through someone like stockpile.com. But again, my investment philosophy or my investment strategy is simple. I just say to people, check out products and services that you like. Then I can try to figure out, what company does that, and then distribute information to people about the company. And then we get together and we talk. Is this something we can do or should do? And then, that's it. And I'm big on investing in companies that pay a dividend. Are you familiar with that concept, dividend?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm big on that. Because basically only thing they're asking you, you're a shareholder, you're a partial owner of their company, and then they want to send you a load of money for being a shareholder. Oh,
So how do you, like when you start researching stuff, how do you know which companies pay out dividends?
Which companies pay a dividend?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they tell you in the research. They'll tell you in the research. So you go to Yahoo Finance or Ameritrade.com or Stockpile.com. You either put in the company name or the ticker symbol name. They'll tell you all that.
Okay.
They'll tell you the dividend, what the annual dividend, estimated annual dividend would be. They'll tell you, they can even tell you when the company has decided how much of a dividend they're going to issue and then when they're going to issue it. They'll tell you the percentage. And then they'll also try to give you a sense of the history. Some companies, company is not required by law to pay a dividend. It's just a decision they make. And they can end their dividend payment for any reason. I mean, that's just a decision to make. But you'll find some companies who have been, they're called dividend aristocrats.
Mm-hmm.
They've been paying dividends for consistently for as long as 30 years. Some of them go back 50 years. And then you'll have some dividend aristocrats, they will slowly increase their dividend amount, their dividend percentage every single year. Just keep increasing it.
Okay.
And so sometimes the researcher even tell you, hey, over the past 2 years, they've been steadily increasing it. Or they'll tell you, hey, over the past 2-3 years, they've been decreasing it. You know, but all the information you find, they'll tell you that. They'll tell you that. Now, speaking of dividends, I don't want to talk too long because I want you guys to keep asking me more questions. Real estate investment trusts, those are people who will buy mortgages, rental property, commercial property, all right? People like, you know, Amazon, when they start something, more often than not, they will not buy the land. You know, they won't buy the structure, they'll lease it. And so you have real estate investment trusts, that's their big job. They'll lease to someone like a Walgreens or Walmart or I said the people's name, I forgot it already, Amazon. And that's how they make their money, right? And a real estate investment trust is required by law to pay out to their shareholders 90% of their profit. They're required by law to do that. If they don't do that, then they're no longer considered a real estate investment trust, and so the special tax breaks they get are taken away from them. So some real estate investment trusts, they pay monthly, or they pay you quarterly. Some pay you annually. When you're a shareholder in a real estate investment trust, you're getting paid. You're getting paid. But you're not getting them phone calls about the clogged up toilet. You're not getting the phone call about, oh, this is not handicap accessible. You're not getting the phone call about, oh, you know, the neighborhood cats keep peeing on the walls or something. See? But you are invested in property vis-a-vis through the real estate investment trust. And I can't tell you the number of times I've come across articles where guys who said, man, I used to be into buying property and renting it out, right? I mean, that's a great way to make money, period, in a discussion. If I wasn't so broke, I'd be doing it. But you get your share of headaches with that, right?
Right.
A lot of these guys who've been landlords for a while, they just got tired of it. Now they just sell those properties, they take all that money, and they're putting it into real estate investment trusts. Passive income. Because again, they're going to get some type of check monthly, quarterly, annually, minus the headaches. They don't have to find the property. They don't have to evaluate the property. They don't have to do the research. They don't have to finance the property. They don't have to maintain the property. They don't have to do emergency repairs. They just put that money, buy those shares, and wait for that check.
Mm-hmm.
And you are literally, you know, a shareholder in property all over the place. You do it all over. I mean, it's just an amazing thing. So I talk a lot. Did I answer your question? I just want to make sure it's this.
It's interesting about the real estate investment trust because I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Real estate investment trust.
Yeah, and a lot of folks don't, and it's unfortunate. I think a lot of times we, I don't want to put down property investors at all. I mean, I say to people, hey man, if you can do that, God bless you. I wish you all the luck. But there is an alternative, and that alternative real estate investment trust, and it's it's not necessarily tied to the stock market, although through the stock market you can buy shares in real estate investment trust, because what may cause for in the general stock market, like a Kimberly Clark or a Tesla, to fluctuate, it's not the same factors that will cause for a real estate investment trust stock to fluctuate. As a matter of fact, real estate investment trust stocks, they won't sort of fluctuate until there's something funky going on as it relates to real estate, like higher interest rates. It's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market. It's just different factors. And for the most part, it's sort of stable, as far as the fluctuation. It's not dramatic. It's not dramatic at all.
It's really in the real estate market. I mean, they really have double and triple day market price houses.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. It's,
they should be getting some good returns.
yeah. But, as an investor, I mean, it's like, as you say, though, it's a good thing to invest in.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to invest in. And I think it's definitely a good thing to invest in when you have other people pooling their money together. And you don't have to start off as an investment club with a dramatic amount of money.
Right.
If you got $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever, the club makes that determination. Okay, here's how we go in. Because your $10 is put with my $10, put with another person's $10, but now we got 40. It's just like that. So, a few more questions.
Yeah. So like when you do it as a group, and we put out, I guess, when you're doing the investment club and you put your money in, leverage, y'all growing the stock as a whole, right?
Yes.
So do you take those dividends and just reinvest it back in since it's a group?
Yes, that's what I would suggest. That's what I would suggest strongly, because it's just not, it's just not. We have the investment club to the goal is to build wealth, and that's usually a long-term situation. It's stock investing has nothing to do with get rich quick. It's building long-term. And when you reinvest the profits, you're just buying more shares.
Right.
And then when the next go around, you're going to get more money because you've reinvested that money, you've bought more shares or more fractions of a share. I mean, it just keeps going up and up, slowly, steadily, keeps going up and up. And then, but maybe after a year and a half, someone may say, "Hey, I want to buy out," and then the other members, will replace them, or they will find someone to replace them. But you should. There's no guarantee that you'll come out with a big profit, but
Right.
if those dividends are being reinvested, things should go up. It should increase. That's the way I would do it. I would not suggest that people sort of use this as a, like a bank. Hey, I got.
Right. Because I mean, I know the stock market is a risk. We take risks every day.
You're right. Yeah, and I want to emphasize that to people. It's a risk. There's risk and reward. Stock market, risk and reward. That's the way it is. But going through an investment club, it's a shared risk and a shared reward. And I think there's, if I was ever to go into a battle, I'd rather go in there with some folks than going alone. And, in an investment club, it really doesn't matter that, oh yeah, this guy, he's the next Peter Lynch, or this guy's the next Warren Buffett. No, we all pool our resources. One person may say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit more research on real estate investment trust and bring that information to the group. Someone else may say, you know what? I'm going to do some research on Vanguard index funds and bring that to the group. And then we all bring it to the group. You may bring some specific recommendations. Then we talk and decide. And as long as we're on the same page about being long term, when this ain't no some sort of get rich quick thing, it will work out fine. And there are other things you can do to the way I structure investment clubs. There are other things you can do as well to make it accessible to everybody. One thing I always recommend is that investment clubs should be kept small initially. You know, four or five people, that kind of stuff should be kept small. And then there should be assignments. You know, people, one person may be, okay, you're sort of like the CEO. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's the CEO says, okay, here's when we need to get together. Here's some of the companies we're going to discuss, or here's some companies I think we ought to research, or that person takes responsibility, sort of sending out a newsletter to everybody. And whatever share he or she has in the company, it's all based upon, percentages. Some investment clubs, they'll do like every month you got to put in so much. Well, what I do is I say the company has 100 shares, and then the club has 100 shares. The club determines the value of each share. So let's say they determine the value of each share is $5. 5 times 100 is $500. So, okay, then what? We all separate and give everybody the same shares? No. One person may say, well, okay, out of the 100 shares, I'll buy 20. Someone else the other may say, well, out of the 100 shares, I'll buy 30. And then one other person, I'm just throwing up numbers, may say, well, okay, I'll buy the last 50. So then if there's ever a situation where a person wants to, let's say we decide to disband the club after a year, then okay, then the person who bought 20 gets 20%, person who bought 30 gets 30%, person who bought 50 gets 50%. It just, it's simple math, and it's all quite fair, and it doesn't create too much of a burden on anybody.
Right.
As far as, I get it. I got to give these fools $20 this month. No, you want to buy more shares, buy shares. And that's the way it is. Well, ladies, I got one of my students who's come in. Can everybody email me and sort of talk to me and say, hey, here's what I think I would like the next step to be, because I'm pretty eager to do it. I'm committed to doing this kind of work. I'm committed to doing it. Say again, sis?
I'm interested myself.
Yeah. So if people just let me know via email, and we'll just sort of take it from there. The other two that joined us, the other was Sister Brandy. She joined us, and my sister joined us. But I think most of their questions they sent through chat. What is the ticker symbol? I will get that out to you. And then my sister, she did make a comment. But okay, sis, so hopefully I'll be hearing from you. So, well, no, actually, I should be seeing you later today. About 2, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to end it here if that's all right. And, hope to hear from you sisters again real soon about what you'd like the next step to be.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.